What's up, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Stella Ray Herself podcast. It's me, Stella Ray herself. How's everyone's week so far? Honestly, I'm feeling great, bitch. It's ovulation week, and I was thinking about this in the shower. There is nothing like that ovulation productivity because you just feel so good. Like, you don't even have to try usually, and it's just the best. Like, I really cherish those times. I'm recording this on Monday, even though I know it goes up later in the week, but I just want to say I had a great weekend. It rained here, so I just had such a cozy Saturday, and I feel like I actually took time to rest, which I think I mentioned in a recent vlog. I feel like overall, I'm pretty good about maintaining a work-life balance, just naturally. I don't know. It's like I can motivate myself and be productive, but then I can also chill. Like, yeah, I'm on the grind, but I wouldn't consider myself a workaholic. I'm a grindaholic, no. But I just feel like I took the full day to, like, completely relax and really chill. And usually I just feel so guilty doing that. Like, I'm not the type of person to stay in bed all day unless I'm hungover, But I pretty much did. And it was just so great and cozy. And it was like raining outside. And then Sunday I deep cleaned. And when I tell you deep clean, like deep cleaning to where I am vacuuming my bathroom drawers and scrubbing them with bleach. Like, well, not bleach, not pure bleach, but you know the vibe. Like, my bathroom has never been this clean. I went through all my products, all my skincare products, threw away all the, like, old stuff. I don't know. If you're like me, I will save a bottle of something like an empty bottle, just so I don't forget what it looks like. It's like, okay, take a photo of it and recycle it, like, move on. But yeah, I did all of that, and I say this just to remind future me, as well as maybe to remind you, it's important to do this, like, no matter what the season, but especially because is it Mercury retrograde officially? I think it starts officially the 30th, so maybe, but it's still the shadow period. Just such a good time to do things like that and to do a little bit of, I guess, spring cleaning, even though it's not technically spring yet, and take time to rest and reflect and read your old journals, tea for your future self, and do all that stuff. It just feels so good. And yeah, like, when I organize something, I just want to look at it. Like, I organized my drawers, but then also my medicine cabinet, which is like basically just all skincare, and I kept just opening it to like look at it, because I was like, I cleaned all the shelves of like my bathroom cabinets, like everything, so I just wanted to was looking like 5 minutes from now. Anyway, yeah, so I had a really good weekend, and I'm hoping that energy continues out into the rest of the week. Anyway, I definitely have a couple of topics to discuss today, things that I've been thinking about, but I wanted to start off with a new book that I started. I guess it's like kind of an unofficial book club, but at least for me personally, I'm going to try to read one book a month this year. And it doesn't even sound like a lot, but when I think of how many books I actually read, like new books that I read last year, it's not a lot. So if it's like one book a month, I can do that. I'm a fast reader, but it's just like I have to force myself to these days, because otherwise it's like something is just, oh, I'll get to that. Oh, I'll read before bed. I'm tired before bed. I don't want to. Oh, I'll do it when I'm feeling productive. When I'm feeling productive, I want to do something else. So I really just have to set aside time to read. But anyway, the book for February is going to be The Way of Zen by Alan Watts. I wanted to read this ever since I saw a girl on TikTok talk about it. But I guess it's just it's a philosophy book about the way of Zen, but I just read one chapter so far. The first chapter is all about Taoism, and it's called The Philosophy of the Tao. And then I guess the next chapter is about Buddhism, and it's kind of cool because it's about all of these Eastern philosophies, but then how, I guess, in the Western world we interpret them, or I guess just the differences in them. I don't know. It's just really cool. But I didn't realize it's kind of an older book. I think it was written in the 50s, right? Yeah, copyright 1957. And then I got it from Thrift Books, which is like used books. Sometimes it's cheaper than Amazon, sometimes it's not. So you just have to kind of check. Like if there's a book I want, I will always check both. But they have like really cheap shipping too. So that's what really enticed me, because I hate to say it, but nothing beats that Prime free shipping. But anyway, I say that just because there's so much stuff that's like highlighted and outlined or like underlined, which is actually kind of cool. Like it kind of makes me feel connected, you know? But I just wanted to share a couple of the main points, or very interesting points, that I found while reading. So this chapter starts off with using the example of English language versus Chinese. This paragraph says, in English, the differences between things and actions are clearly, if not logically, distinguished. But a great number of Chinese words do duty for both nouns and verbs, so that, you know, basically one Chinese character could mean so many different things. And it was kind of an analogy, I guess, or like a metaphor for Eastern versus Western ideas, or like how we look at life. English can be so specific, and it's similar to how we are in the Western world, in the sense that it's a very individualist society. You know, it's like, I want to establish who I am, and it's very like ego-based. We learn very thoroughly to identify ourselves with an equally conventional view of myself, or the self. And the conventional self or person is composed mainly of a history consisting of selected memories. I am not simply what I am doing now, I am also what I have done. And my conventionally edited version of my past is made to seem almost more the real me than what I am at this moment. For what I am seems so fleeting and intangible, but what I was is fixed and final. It is the firm basis for predictions of what I will be in the future, and so it comes about that I am more closely identified with what no longer exists than what actually is. And I just thought that that just really spoke to me, because, you know, we always hear live in the moment. And I guess just, I don't know, I kind of applied it to right now. You know, in quarantine, just this whole past year, I feel like I've had so much time to think and reflect, and sometimes not in a good way. Like sometimes it's like, okay, let it go. Or just remembering all these past things, and it's like I still feel emotions towards something that happened so long ago, like now. But that's the past, and then like in the present, like, I don't know, it's just so much harder to almost identify with the present, because yeah, it is so like fleeting. It's like it hasn't happened yet, we can't like describe it yet, or we don't know necessarily, because it's like we're waiting for the next moment to like tell the story. I don't know, I just thought that was like worded very well. So, you know, this chapter is about Tao, and then he basically goes on to describe Taoism is a sort of liberation against convention. So there's Taoism, and then there's Confucianism. That's hard for me to say. So Confucianism, you know, is basically conventional knowledge, and he kind of describes it as like the way that we grow up. You know, as kids, we're not self-conscious. We are just living and like having fun, and we have imaginations, and we're not, you know, constantly worried about the future or whatever. So then Taoism is basically to undo the damage of, you know, society, and like, oh, we have to act like this, we can't, you know, do this, whatever. It's very rigid, so Taoism is kind of to undo that and to rediscover that spontaneity and just kind of being. And another example of this was, there's no real difficulty in this in Taoism. We will already admit we know how to move our hands, we know how to make a decision or how to breathe, even though we can hardly begin to explain how we do it in words. We know how to do it just because we know. Taoism is an extension of this kind of knowledge. an extension which gives us a very different view of ourselves from that to which we are conventionally accustomed, and a view which liberates the human mind from its constricting identification with the abstract ego. So it's basically just pure vibes, you know? The Tao does not know how it produces the universe, just as we do not know how we construct our brains. So then there's the example of our peripheral vision, and the self is kind of like our direct vision. You know, if you're focusing on something, like focused on words of a page, it's like you see it and you know that you see it. But then the peripheral, it's like you still know it's there and it's still like working, but you're not straining to see it. You're not like focusing in on it like a spotlight. It's just kind of there, and it's always there. When we have learned to put excessive reliance upon central vision, upon the sharp spotlight of the eyes and mind, we cannot regain the powers of peripheral vision unless the sharp and staring kind of sight is at first relaxed. The idea is to bring into play the mind's innate and spontaneous intelligence by using it without forcing it. So basically like forcing versus just being. And I can think of examples of this, you know, times I've kind of experienced it. You know, like being in the flow of something versus trying to force it, such as creativity or like, I don't know. I can think of times I've had great ideas and it just came to me, like it just happened. It's not like I was focusing in on it, like forcing it. It just happened. And I think the same could be said for, you know, any sort of positive experience or enjoyable experience or like happiness. I feel like a lot of the times happiness occurs when it's just like happening and you're just being, and like it just is existing within you, around you. But when you try to force it, it's like, or like you try to have an antic night, and like the best antic fun-filled nights just happen naturally, you know. It's just vibes. You can't necessarily explain it. It's not like there's a recipe and then, you know, the nights where you had high expectations or like we're trying to force it in some kind of way, it's like it doesn't really work. Exactly, yeah. The important point is that according to both Taoism and Zen, the center of the mind's activity is not in the conscious thinking process, not in the ego. When a man has learned to let his mind alone so that it functions in the integrated and spontaneous way that is natural to it, he begins to show the special kind of virtue or power called Te. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's just Te. Te is furthermore unaffected or spontaneous virtue, which cannot be cultivated or imitated by any deliberate method. So literally when you try to force an antic night versus when it just happens, it is a power which is blocked when one tries to master it in terms of formal methods and techniques. For what the culture of Taoism and Zen proposes is that one might become the kind of person who, without intending it, is a source of marvelous accidents. Taoism is essentially a liberation from convention and of the creative power of Te. Again, I hope I'm saying that right. So yeah, I don't want to say it's like a hard read, but like I said, it's definitely an older book. So it's just kind of that vibe. But yeah, it definitely helped me to like do sticky notes and actually take notes, because there'd be like, and I was actually reading out loud to myself, which not even because of like, oh, this book specifically, but sometimes when I'm editing these podcasts, more so podcast videos, I feel like sometimes, but I just get so annoyed at how fast I talk and how I don't really enunciate. I just get so like caught up with what I'm saying that it's like I need to slow down. So I've been reading aloud, or at least this chapter, but it was actually really helpful because I was able to really understand, I guess, what I was reading, and certain parts stood out to me that I don't know, you know, maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. So yeah, that's what we can learn from this first chapter. The spontaneity of the mind and how, you know, we have it as kids, we grow up, we lose it because we're kind of, you know, taught in our society to be more rigid and to like focus and to like force almost. Taoism and this philosophy is a way to unlearn that and to kind of just be. And I think, you know, that's what meditation's for. And, you know, just thinking of the times where I've felt that, like I'm completely present in the moment. I'm not thinking about anything in particular, you know, meditation, just kind of observing the thoughts or just kind of being in the stillness. That's usually when I have ideas or when I feel like stuff happens, because it's organic. It's not like you're forcing it. So I would love to hear your thoughts. yeah, and I'm excited to keep reading it because it's super interesting, and I kind of like that it's older. I don't know. I say that just because I know there's a lot of books about spirituality or whatever that are definitely from within the past 5, maybe even 10 years, and it's just like the tone is different. Like this, it's like I feel like I'm reading an actual book, not like, hey girly, quick tips. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? And that's not to say like any recent book is like not going to be helpful, but it's just, I don't know, just my feeling when reading it, I was like, yeah, this is like literature. So let me know if you've read or if you've read anything by him. But I'm excited to keep reading. And again, I definitely have to take notes because I don't want to miss anything. So this has been super interesting, my book for February. And hopefully I feel like I'll be able to talk about it more once I've read more, because again, I just read the first chapter yesterday. This is just kind of like my first thoughts. I feel like once I read it and then I'm able to go back and kind of like dig out the main points and whatever, like I'll be able to talk about it a little better. So if you haven't read it, like you'll actually, yeah, hopefully what I said was helpful, but I kind of feel like it's like I don't even know because I've only read one chapter. I wanted to talk about a quick idea that I heard about or concept idea that I heard about from TikTok. And I will try to find the original TikTok. I need to like remember to just save it right away so you guys can watch it. But this girl stitched, like this guy basically made a little vlog just of his day. And it was a very just regular day. Like he wasn't an influencer. He wasn't a celebrity. He was just like regular. I don't know. He was like doing his morning routine, getting ready to go to work. And this girl stitched it and said, like, this is what I love about TikTok, because TikTok has almost romanticized just the mundane and real life, like little aspects of real life, our day-to-day lives, just regular people's lives. And then she went on to say, you know, in contrast, Instagram is just very, like, you know, almost the unachievable, and goals and clout and drip and vacations. And TikTok is like just almost the opposite of that in a lot of ways. Obviously there's very many different sides to both TikTok and Instagram, but overall, and I just found that I really resonated with that, because I feel like not that I've been necessarily glamorizing, you know, the everyday life, or just like, I don't know, being in a small town, being in my hometown, but I don't, and maybe this is just like pandemic things, and then also I've been away from it long enough to be able to feel like this now, because I don't know if I would have felt like this, you know, 2-3 years ago, but just that, you know, it almost is like a romanticization of the small town vibe, and like, oh, I'm just gonna go for a walk in the park, or I'm gonna like go to the Starbucks drive-through, and that's like the highlight of my day. And there's something almost like beautiful about it. Like, I don't know, like it's just like, I don't think of that as like ew. I think of it as like something relaxing about it, and I feel like it's just kind of a healthy thing to practice anyway. Like, I know we've all heard about romanticizing our lives, bitch, and how we need to like, or not need to, but you know, it's fun. It makes life more enjoyable to live like you're in a movie, or like, I don't know, you're just romanticizing your life, like your main character vibes, you know? It's just a certain kind of like, yeah, like, I don't know. Or when I'm doing something, I'm like, this is like the part in the movie where it's a time lapse of like how hard they're working, and like, yeah. But I thought that was a very interesting observation, and I definitely feel it. And, you know, I've been making my little vlogs on mostly reels. Maybe I should post them on TikTok too. But I just love, I feel like I've always kind of loved, you know, finding the little details in everyday life, the little just beautiful things. And that kind of ties into what we're talking about living in the moment. You know, I think about my Instagram in 2015, where I would literally, on my main IG, not Stella right back up, main IG feed, just like post a pic of a house I thought was cute, or like a flower, or just like some random detail from something, like, I don't know, just that I saw while I was going about my day. And it's like funny, but part of it is also like, you know, noticing little things around you as you're like existing and going through life. And it's just very easy to overlook those things. But I think those things, you know, whether it's a leaf or like, I don't know, you know, a sunset, that's kind of obvious, but just little things. I feel like it can just bring us so much happiness and like enjoyment and fulfillment almost. And it's just so easy, especially on apps like Instagram. But just in general, you know, you could be watching someone's vlog or whatever, and it's just so easy to want and like to yearn. I feel like I've been hearing that word a lot recently. And it's like there's nothing wrong with having goals, but I think, you know, it's not only being grateful for the moment and what you have, but actually noticing it. You know, I feel like, oh, be grateful, practice gratitude. Sometimes it's like, okay, whatever. But if you can be like, okay, what little details or what beautiful things are around you right now? You know, one of my favorite things is listening to the birds in the morning. Yes, I live in downtown LA, but there do be birds and I hear them. And that's just one of those things where I can really just like I think it was Saturday morning, maybe it was Sunday, but I went to open my window just for a second and I heard the birds, and I literally just sat on the floor next to my window, like next to where my plants are, and just like sat there and listened to them. And I was like, damn, like, is this what living in the moment is? Just appreciating shit like this. Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things that it's not like it sounds kind of harsh or like extreme to say, oh, it has an agenda attached to it. But I feel like sometimes it can be hard to practice gratitude or to hear either you tell yourself or someone tell you, like, just be grateful, because it's like, okay, what if I'm actually feeling like unfulfilled or like I'm not? Like, sometimes we just don't feel that way, like, actually. And you can force it, but I think that's kind of an easier way or a more organic way to go about it, because it's like I just have to notice. I don't have to feel any type of way about it. I can just notice. And then also kind of with that, I've been thinking a lot about, or should I say I've been noticing that I'm a lot more comfortable doing things. Like, let me explain. So I don't know if anyone can relate, but I think I've probably talked about it on here, but I would sometimes just feel so self-conscious about like posting something on IG, or like, I don't know, like my little reel vlogs. I feel like probably a year ago I would feel so self-conscious about that, because it's just like, ew, like, people I know are gonna see this, like, oh my god, like, I would just feel like uncomfortable, which is weird because I've been doing this shit for like a long time, like just posting myself online. So why? I don't know, I still get self-conscious. Or like taking a walk. Like, probably before quarantine, I would never really do that. Like, maybe to go get a coffee or like for a purpose, but never just to like take a walk. And okay, so I say that to say that now I just feel like I don't feel that. Like, I'll just go take a walk because I want to, and I'm not feeling like, oh my god, everyone's looking at me, or like, oh, this is weird. Like, and I wonder if, because, you know, I have been, I feel like quarantine actually is like, you're not doing anything. I've been social distancing, let's say that, because I still like go to the grocery store and stuff, but I haven't been socializing. And I wonder if it's because I have just been like with myself, with my own thoughts, and so I'm not having not any, because then it's like online, but, you know, I'm not surrounded by other people and other people's energy. So I wonder if I'm, you know, getting to be more comfortable with myself and like what I actually want and what I actually like and what my actual interests are. Even little things like I'm thinking about cutting my hair, which I don't know, that could have just happened regardless of, you know, other people's vibes. But like, I have been listening to different types of music. Like, I just feel like I am expanding almost, and like I've just been more in touch with my actual interests and like what I like and what I don't like. And I wonder if that is why. Like maybe it's just like this would have happened naturally anyway, and it's just as you get older, which it could be. But I feel like also it's just like I'm hanging out with myself a lot. I'm in the house by myself a lot. Well, all the time, you know, unless I'm FaceTiming someone or on social media or like going to the grocery store. But you know what I mean? So I wonder if that has anything to do with it. And not that that's like, oh yeah, other people force you to not be yourself. But it's just kind of a light observation. So I wonder, yeah. Anyway, I bring that up just to say, let me know if you have related. And also with that, I actually wrote down, no antics forces you to create your own excitement. So, you know, at least I'm not having external distractions or like external, like excitements. Like, oh, day party this weekend, or oh, going on a date with this person, like tea, or just like activities. It's like I need to create my own. So I'm like forced to like find what I like or to like discover different things, because it's like that's kind of the only option for like expansion, because I feel like you can feel that similar feeling like with an antic or like, I don't know, with a bullshit. Does this make sense? But yeah, just something that I've kind of been thinking about, and I wanted to ask if you relate, because I feel like some people are like me and that you do very well alone. Like, that's not to say I never get lonely, but bitch, I can like really just be by myself a lot of the time and like thrive. And then some people are not like that. So I wanted to ask you if you've experienced this all or noticed this, or maybe now that I say it, maybe you can reflect and like notice. I don't know. But yeah, I feel just like super excited about this year. Personally, like I remember saying in December, in 2021, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want, and I just feel like I'm really doing that, and like I just feel excited, and like I don't know, I'm excited, bitch. And if you're not excited, that's okay, because I've definitely felt that too. Life really goes in cycles. Okay, last topic that we're gonna discuss today. Let me actually have some coffee. Damn, I really love days where I like wake up and work out right away and just get my day started, because it's only 11 and like I'm almost done with this, and then I can edit it and look at me go. Okay, so I saw a tweet. Basically, there's been, which one of them did it? Okay, so it was Chloe, because Hallie has the Disney contract, so she can't, you know, be showing ass on IG. So there's been kind of like, I've seen some tweets here and there about that, and like, ew, why did Drake follow her right after that, you know, things like that. And then someone tweeted this morning, I screenshotted it so I could have the direct receipts. So someone said, I can't sexualize Chloe and Hallie. Something about them will forever feel underage. And if you were born in the 80s, I'm side-eyeing the fuck out of you lusting after them. So this kind of made me think about a few things. And I bring this up to kind of open the conversation or like ask you guys what you think, because my first thought was, this is the madonna-whore complex, which, if you don't know, it is this complex. Did Freud make this up? But basically that like once a man respects you or sees you as a person, he's no longer going to sexualize you. So like if you get in a relationship with a guy, he suddenly like doesn't want to have sex with you because he's like, oh, I actually respect this person, this woman now. And then with this, I was thinking like, is this because, you know, these girls are seen as wholesome, or like, you know, they're not like a Cardi B or like a Megan. They're like cute little wholesome girls. So you can't see them as sexual. So one of them shaking their ass is going to like bother you or make you uncomfortable because you see them as like wholesome, which then, you know, it's like, okay, so a woman can't be wholesome and sexual. Like, it's hard to be both. It's hard to see both or to understand both, or like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like, especially in having a younger sister, I have kind of realized that I need to like not like chill, but sometimes it's like I literally think of her as 13. So if she's telling me about a guy or whatever, like, it's not like I'm slut shaming, but it's almost like, oh my God, like don't, like, oh my God. It's not slut shaming, but it's like, oh, like, no, she's so young, or like, oh, like, no, you shouldn't be going out, or like, you know what I mean? And then I have to remind myself, like, oh, like, relax, like, she's grown now, like, just because in your mind it's like, oh, like, I still see her as like young, like, that's my little sister. It's like, she's grown now and she can make her own decisions and like hang out with boys if she wants to. I think it's good I'm having these realizations and like, oh, like, don't, like, just watching my language about it, because then if I ever have kids, like, I feel like that's such a common, you know, issue, and a lot of people, I feel like, are almost like suppressed, especially women in our sexuality and expressing that, because it's like we're kind of always shamed about it, or it's like, oh no, be a good girl. Sometimes a parent or whoever can have good intent and like wanting to protect or whatever, but then it's like at the same time, especially once someone is of age, it's like, you know, naturally, you know, a lot of people want to have sex or want to be sexual or want to whatever, and we shouldn't like shame just because we in our minds still see them as like a little kid, because they're not anymore, and it's just a natural part of life. That's kind of a long way to like say that, but anyway. But then I was kind of also like, okay, so there's that, but then there's also this thing with particularly like older guys where it's like as soon as a girl turns 18, they're in her DMs or they want to hit her up. And I thought of specifically like the Tyga and Kylie situation, where it's like, oh yeah, we were friends before this, but then as soon as she's 18, they're in a relationship. Like, that kind of seems a little predatory to me. So I guess I wanted to ask you guys, like, what is the line between like, okay, as we grow up and as we're of age, it's like, okay, we're allowed to date, we're allowed to have sex, we're allowed to be sexual if we wish to, but then what, it's like also, okay, like as soon as you turn 18, like any guy can, you know, pursue you. Like, I feel like sometimes it's a little creepy, like, oh, they've been eyeing you for the past few years and it's just because you're 18 now they can go after you. Like, that's kind of weird to me. And I guess for me, it's kind of looking at it as like, oh, you know, there's like the predatory thing, but then there's also like like, oh, you're looking out for someone, like, oh, like you're almost like the shamer, or like you're not the pursuer or the predator. It's like you're the parental figure, you're the older sister, you're the whatever, and you're like, or older sibling, and you're like wanting to protect, but you're actually like shaming. Like this tweet, it's not like the person in this tweet was like, I don't know. I feel like there has to be a line between like, oh, I could never not that like, oh, you need to be, people should be more sexualized, but like, oh, I could never see them as sexual, versus like, as soon as you turn 18, like, I feel like there's two extremes, and we need to be more in the middle, not in the middle of like being a predator, but you know what I mean? How do we differentiate? And I feel like, especially, you know, as an older sibling or as a parent, or whatever, it's especially important to think about that, because it's like, I don't want to give like my sister the idea that like, oh, it's shameful to whatever, live your best life. And then, you know, if I become a parent, I don't want to instill that kind of shame and like guilt into my kids. So yeah, it just kind of made me think about a lot of different things. So I would love to hear your take on it. And I guess it's just kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't really have an answer, or is there even a question? The question is like, what is the answer? Fuck. Yeah, but I guess that's all we're going to talk about today. Again, I would love to hear your thoughts on any of these topics, and I can't wait to read more of this book so I have like more to discuss. But let me know if you read. I'll link it down below on Amazon. Use my link if you decide to get it, because I do get a percentage of that. So if you decide to get it because of me, bitch, show your bitch some love, I guess. And And yeah, don't forget to take a screenshot of this, post it on your IG story, or send it to me or tweet it to me, and I will repost, retweet, all of that. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye, everyone.